Welcome back to Major League Sorare, the Sorare TV show that focuses on the American division with an emphasis on our favorite league, MLS, the craziest league of all. At DraftKicks, how you doing?
Doing well. Glad to be back. It's been a little while.
Bro, you've been gone. You've been gone forever. Where I missed you.
A lot of traveling, man.
You went to St. Louis. You never came back.
Yeah, went to St. Louis. Had a great time with the boys. Huge shout out to Sorare for hosting and all the guys there. You know, Jimmer, Black. I mean, I met so many other guys that were just incredible.
Sure, PG.
And yeah, took the game in, first ever game in St. Louis City history at their home stadium. And I'll tell you, man, that stadium is amazing. If you have the opportunity to go, I know you were bummed about the result. Charlotte took it on the chin, but
I'm bummed about every
was
Charlotte
amazing
these days. Yeah,
right in the heart of downtown, and so it was a good time. And then yeah, just other than that, it's been a lot of traveling with youth soccer season. Like you said, I've got a couple of prospects that I'm raising. Hopefully, they'll have their own Sorare card at some point.
Amazing. How great would that
but
be?
No,
would you buy the unique of your own son?
I'd maybe try to make a deal for his signature card. So we'll see. You know,
that's your style. That is your style for sure.
Yeah, but no, appreciate you picking up the slack. It's been cool to see some of the guests, Gator Guy, Luis Pacheco come on, some legends in their own right. So it's been fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. And we missed last week's episode. To anyone who was looking for us in the midweek last week for a preview of Game Week 353, I do apologize. Just too much. I had work travel. You had work travel, and just too much got in the way.
Yeah, why don't you? Sorry to interrupt you, but you kind of like hit on what I do on the side, working a little bit with MLS, right? But I don't think we've ever like got into what your like real job is, and I think the people need to know. Like it's a pretty cool gig. I mean, if somebody hears, hey, you work, you know, for who?
Oh yeah, I mean, I work for ESPN. Yeah, exactly. I have the dream job,
right?
In theory, right? Working for ESPN, watching sports for a living. It's a great gig, something I really do love and enjoy, and been with the company for getting close to 20 years. So have been fortunate enough as we widen out the view here. If you look up in that top left corner of the screen, I've been fortunate enough to pull a few Emmy statues for my work in television production. So that's been nice and great company. I know. Company that catches a lot of love and a lot of flack from all different areas of the globe, but I'm an extremely proud ESPN employee for sure.
Yeah, really cool. No, I just felt like the people should know that. Like that's probably a little tidbit that
for the people
nobody knows about you, and hey, now they know. So
yeah, well, hey,
anybody
wants more details, buy me some drinks. But we're here to talk about Game Week 355 now, and yeah, it's, like you said, shout out, thank you to Gator Guy and Pacheco, who filled in on the review shows the last few weeks. We've added the review shows. So we do our normal schedule now is a midweek preview show and a Sunday night review show where we just go game by game through all the box scores, make sure we didn't miss any big scores that people need to be aware of in this league. And, I know Sunday nights are some of your busier nights, right? So that's why it's been guest star central, but I know you're going to show up on a review show sooner than later as well.
Yeah. Sundays, for instance, this past weekend, I was traveling back from Louisville, Kentucky, which is a good 2.5 hour drive. And so, and when I get off the road, I'm probably not ready to jump
right, exactly.
straight on podcast. And yeah, it's going to be that way.
You got to wash the car.
The next
put the kids to bed,
couple of months. Yes. I've got to do my real life duties, I guess you could say. But if I have the chance, but if I have the chance, I'll definitely jump on.
Yeah, real life is tough. Can't we just get paid to play Sorare and talk about Sorare for a living? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, hey, I'd be game.
You're signing up for that. Okay, well, like I said, we're here to talk preview, right? We're here to talk about the game week 355. And I thought I'd start a little something different this week. Let's start with looking at the odds real quick and see who the big favorites are. We focused a little bit on matchup scores on the Sorare data Matchup Game Week Center, which you're looking at here, is a great tool, but it can be a little bit misleading sometimes because if you look, like right now, I sorted this by midfielder matchups, right? And you go, there's a bunch of South American teams, a couple Liga MX teams, and then the top MLS team is Toronto, then Atlanta. These are for midfielder matchups. But the problem with these are this is a great tool, but it's not like something you can just like boom rely on 100% unless you're our boy Jimmer. But right now, look at St. Louis City. Like, they're showing it a -50 matchup for like every position, and we just know intuitively that's not right because they've actually been not as tough to score on, if it makes sense. Like they're winning games, but like guys are getting goals against them. They've conceded first in every game, so can't always go purely with the matchup indicator, even though it is a GOAT ranking on many levels. But so we will look at that. But let's start with the odds. And the first thing I saw is you don't see huge favorites in MLS. A lot of times you'll get everybody as plus money, but there's a few minus numbers on here. New York City -165. LA Galaxy at home against Vancouver -145. St. Louis is favored -110 against the Quakes, who've been better than expected. And I think Dallas, FC Dallas has against Sporting KC as a negative number as well. And the Red Bulls at -120. So the two New York teams, Dallas, St. Louis, and LA Galaxy, those are your biggest favorites of the week. Anyone jump out at you in those teams in terms of who you want to get in the lineups? Maybe think about purchasing.
Yeah, I like the Galaxy. I think we got to factor in CONCACAF Champions League. These teams are playing some midweek games. Granted, Vancouver looks like they've brought pretty much mostly second string side to their second leg. Because they've got a 5-0 advantage. So, but I still think that, that's going to factor in a little bit to the Galaxy's advantage. And so I like that matchup. I do like New York City FC at home against DC. DC, just as much as I want them to succeed because I've got exposure to Benteke. I've got some Pedro Santos sprinkled in. So I want them to do well, but they've just looked rough. And so, yeah, I like New York City FC at home. And they've got a couple of pieces that I'm looking at. Would love to have some Pereira, but his price is jumping up. I think he had a goal, I want to say, in his first game back for New York City, and so yeah, in general,
Pereira. Pereira. Yeah, he's real good. Let's double check. I can't remember for sure if he had to go at all. It all blurs together, but let's look at their matchup here on SofaScore. And it's not really going to show us much since they don't have the lineup up yet. So I'm going to actually bag that. But I will go back to this matchup page that we mentioned. You talked about the LA Galaxy. They actually do show up. Not only are they favored well in Vegas, but they show up at home against the Whitecaps with a 13 matchup indicator on their forward position, which is pretty nice. They're the top-rated MLS team in that respect, and they're up there with all the other teams. Timbers also showing up. Miami showing up. LAFC showing up. Where the algo here doesn't really like New York City's matchup necessarily against DC United at home, but I actually do kind of like it. I think there's going to be some really nice scoring opportunities there. And New York City I think they score especially well at home. We saw James Sands get to 83 last time in the midfield in his return to the squad with all AA points, no decisive. And I just think playing at Yankee Stadium like that, it gives New York City like a really nice home field advantage. You think even more so than anybody else in the league, which is built on home field advantage.
Yeah, I think so too, because they're used to playing there. Ideally, they've got their own soccer specific stadium, but yeah, I agree with you. That definitely works to their advantage because that's their home field. They play on it more than everybody else. And so that's just how it goes.
That's the way it is. We like when we did our review show last week, when me and Luis were like looking at the scores, and I was just like blown away by like all these actions. Like the small field tends to like compress action, right? Into action is what drives Sorare scoring. So lot going on with James Sands there. I really like the Galaxy. When I look at this matchup rating on forwards, it's almost like a teaser of what we might be talking about a little later in the show with our definite decisives for sure. We're going to talk a little bit more about preview, but now I think is the portion of the show where I want to give you some time to sort of talk about lineup decision making and building as it applied in this game week, in this midweek, because we did have with CONCACAF Champions League, we got some pretty good midweek action. And I'm going to share this screen. I don't want you to I don't want to trigger you. I don't want you to feel sad. I don't want you to be upset. But here we are with your all-star rare team this game week, this current game week as we go. after Austin and Philly played last night. You're sitting in 8th, looking real nice for a tier 2 and some ETH. But the problem is that there's a big drop coming because we are only 57% of the way complete through this game week. So there's 43% more cards to keep going in the All-Star division. And you came so close because you had a big decision at midfield and it didn't work out.
Yeah, no, it was that was super disappointing. I mean, it's kind of one of those like what could have been teams. I really felt good about it just with Austin FC's matchup, their scenario. They needed at least 3 goals, and so yeah, we got 2 from Driussi. I thought we might get something out of Zardes. Fagundes came off the bench, even though he started, I think, 2 or 3 of their 4 games so far this season, and he made an impact off the bench, which I just I'm not going to judge or try to act like I'm some sort of coaching analyzer, but I feel like Josh Wolf got it wrong from the start. Like starting Ethan Finley over Diego Fagundes was not the move. But
as
hey,
he often does, Josh Wolf. Yeah,
that's not my decision to make, and so yeah, it was frustrating, man. I kicked around Alex Ring as my other piece.
That's where it gets
Zardes.
That's where it gets painful is when I scroll down to Alex Ring and his
and I picked him up just to kind of fill in. Yeah, you got a lot of just throwaway lineups. Get them in training.
Hide these things. How about shout out to Sorare Data with the hide this lineup feature? By the way, something we always wanted in DraftKings when lineups go bad.
You can do a lot of clicking, man. I put a bunch of entries on this. A bunch of dead entries.
Fair enough. Yeah, here's Alex Ring. Did you have Alex Ring rare or did you not have the option?
No, I don't have his rare. I actually just bought that just to fill that lineup out, hoping that we get a start from Hassal, and I just bink a threshold and limited. But yeah, Ring was one of those because his price was to where I was like, man, for one, I didn't own Fagundes. I made a deadline deal with our guy Tony Watt. Shout out to him.
Man, the greatest.
And brought Fagundes in.
We got to get
because I wanted more exposure to. Yeah, my thought is exactly it. He'd be a fun one. He does some content on his own, but yeah, I just felt like I wanted as much exposure to Austin's attack as I could, just with their need for goals, and they couldn't get it done. My guys couldn't get it done, and so yeah, it was disappointing. At this point, I'm just kind of hoping to cling on to any kind of a prize because, like you said, there's a lot of soccer to be played. So we'll see. But yeah, it was frustrating. It was a fun little sweat there for a while, but once we kind of saw that Austin wasn't getting there, I was sending you guys some pretty fired up messages in Discord.
Well, I mean, Zardes drew a penalty that was overturned by VAR, so that was a potential decisive. Driussi, just absolute in one of the craziest games of all time, had 84, 14 AA with 3 big chance missed. I mean, this guy, he could have had 5 goals easily. Like the AC Violette keeper was making some insane saves. Driussi still bagged 2 goals. Probably would have got a third with the penalty, which would have given you decisive points on Zardes and moved Driussi up closer to 100. And like the minus 15 for 3 big chance missed, he would have been sitting at 99.6 anyway, even without that third goal. So I really, there's nothing, like we have no power to change Sorare scoring rules, but man, it is so painful, the minus 5 for a big chance missed, especially when it's like a big goalkeeper save that is the reason that it's missed, right? The shot could have been better, but if it's on target, I feel like there should be 2 classes of big BCM, like a -2 for on target and a -5 for like missing the target, but whatever. Sorare doesn't care about it.
Hey man, I'm all for like adding in some extra added scoring sweats. Like you're talking to somebody who thinks there should be like half a point for every time you hit the post on a shot. So like,
I love it.
Give us a point or something. Like, hey, I get it that it's not a goal, but it's like there's kind of all these other actions that you get points for that aren't directly related to a goal. And so, hey, why not? Like, oh, that was impressive. Like you came close with that nasty shot, but it pinged off the post. Here's you a point.
Yep. But it looks like you at least are going to get the low threshold in limited division as long as Hassal starts, which I think we all expect him to, since it looked like Takioka did not travel for Vancouver. So at least your Alex Ring purchase paid off. Oh, Takioka is there?
I think, I saw a video on Vancouver's social yesterday, and
Son of a.
Sarita Patel, I believe, is one of their primary social people, and she basically rattled off all the names that didn't make the trip, and Takaoka wasn't one of them.
Okay.
I want to say actually, like on Fripp's post at Sorare USA, when he posted, he said, "I don't see Takaoka there." Then somebody was quick on the screen grab and said, "Hey, I think I see his head like back up there, like getting off the plane coming down." And so yeah, that was kind of after I just settled on like, okay, I'm just gonna throw Hasal in, because even if Takaoka's there, then maybe like this is the game that they let Hasal have a run out. I mean, they're up 5-0.
It's still a chance, yeah.
We'll see.
Still a chance for sure.
Yeah, I
Hasal
don't have
needs to
many
play
options,
for
but
sure. So yeah, well, I hope you get this low threshold. Like I said, at least the Alex Ring purchase, paid off. So the guy's been absolutely crushing it. I sold Alex Ring in the preseason, so rare. So jokes on me, I guess, on that one. He's crushing it, and as a center back, it's really weird.
He really is, man. And that's the midfielder card. So yeah, I mean, I could have used him directly instead of
he only has midfielders. Yeah, he doesn't have a defender card, but he's been playing defenders. What I meant to say.
Yeah, that's right. But hey, one more note on that limited lineup, that Zan Kolmanich, that was one of the guys I had involved with that Fagundes swap with Tony Watt, and he sent me a message on Discord, and it was like, what kind of sick joke is this? He comes off in the 58th minute. They got the clean sheet,
Right.
And so that 10 points would have gone a long way.
Oh, Zan the man, dude, and he was taking set pieces. You really would have expected a little bit bigger score from him. How many passes into the box did he have? Does it say? I guess. I guess defenders don't get point for that. He got. Yeah, there he is. Sorry, forgive me. I'm way off today. I can't even see my own screen scrolls. But yeah, eight passes into the box, penalty area entries as they call them on the site. Just call them passes in the box. That's pretty nice. You get half a point for each one. So that's why those set pieces are so good, as we always harp on the show. So yeah, frustrating weekend or midweek, I should say, but the weekend's coming up. So we get back to that. We like LA. We like New York City. Do we like New York Red Bulls? I mean, they're favored, but are you buying into that? It's tough for me to buy New York Red Bulls right now against the Crew. I like the Crew to go get a road win personally.
Yeah, Crew have not looked bad. Anytime you've got Zelarayan and Cucho Hernandez.
Right. I'm definitely not benching my Crew guys. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's solid. I hope that New York starts to get it together, because I've got tons of Lewis Morgan exposure. I've got a super rare, and a limited, and he's just been hot garbage for me to start the season. And the signature card, yeah. So I hope they get going, but they've just, like you said, they've looked rough. Their attack hasn't looked good at all, and they just kind of look dead in the attack. They don't really have a true striker.
Yeah, Van Zier has not been the guy yet so far. Do you think?
They do.
Are you long-term bullish?
Saying,
Are you long-term bullish on Van Zier, or do you think he's like already showing signs of a bust?
No, I am. I think that long-term, and if and when he gets going, but I think it's for him just a case of, like we've said before, several of the newcomers to the league, then it's a little bit of a wake-up call. Like I think a lot of players think, oh, I've done this well in Belgium or wherever, like, not quite the highest level of Europe, but still like done well. And then they come to MLS, maybe not thinking it's like a cakewalk, but just thinking like, it's just going to carry right on over. And no, it doesn't. Like, I think the league's a lot tougher than some of these guys anticipate. And I think that's what we're seeing on the Van Zier.
I always say the physicality and pressure are what stands out. Like MLS, you can drag me in the comments for this, but like, I compare MLS to the Premier League, not on the level of skill, not on the level of talent, but on the level of pressure. Like if you think of how the Premier League is compared to like Bundes or La Liga or League One, where like guys have just tons of space, especially in Belgium too. Guys have tons of space on the ball. There's not a lot of press. Whereas in the Premier League, it's like every possession is like constantly pressed and harassed. The MLS provides its own version of that. It's a lesser version. It's a not as quality version. I'll agree, but like MLS teams do not give time on the ball generally, unless they're Charlotte FC. Unfortunately, they tend to pressure and try to fight back and steal the ball back at every opportunity. And I think a lot of guys have a hard time adjusting to that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I mean, and that's where I think Van Zier is. maybe he bounces back and
Mhm.
gets in the goals. Like he's kind of their guy. Like they brought him in to score goals, and so if it's not Lewis Morgan,
Right.
it's got to be him. I mean, they've got a couple of other options that could help out here and there. But yeah, Van Zier was supposed to be the man, and it's been slow going to start. But yeah, maybe he gets going this weekend against Columbus.
Similar situation for for Enzo Copetti, the Argentinian striker who joined Charlotte this year and was expecting big things. He was a leading scorer in the Argentinian league last year on a team that won a trophy, and everyone was thinking this guy's going to come in and just rake goals. So far, he's the only one that has scored for Charlotte, but he only has one goal, and he's almost becoming more notable for his antics on the field, on the pitch, excuse me, in terms of just like, constantly rolling around and like faking injuries, then getting up and like, I'm somewhat sympathetic to soccer players because I do know more than the rest of the public. I think it's like, I know how bad it feels to like get kicked at full speed and full strength and whatnot. So like, I do have a little bit of empathy towards these guys when like they're initially hurt, rolling around. But Copetti has not been doing much, and he's been doing way too much, like wasting time, giving the opponents like extra time. I said this on my Charlotte Soccer Show this week that like Copetti had 2 fake injuries that added an extra minute of extra time. We went from what should have been 5 minutes to 6 minutes, and then Atlanta United scored the 3rd goal in the 6th minute. So that's not good. You don't lose any Sorare points for that, but you do lose the respect of the fans. If you look at Copetti's graph right here, you can see like tons and tons of green scores here for Racing Club. Here with Charlotte, it's been slow going. He's getting negative AA points almost every time. He has 1 goal. It's not good. And these guys, Copetti, Van Zier, they're having a slow adjustment to the league. It's tough, man. Like, what can you say about it?
Yeah, no, you're right about Capetti, and I just seeing him live. I actually did get to witness his first career MLS goal, it was a nice goal too, and that's where I think that's where he's deadly is if you've got guys like Swiderski swinging balls in to the box for him. He's the kind of guy that can get up and put one on frame. But yeah, just the antics and that kind of thing, like that's just not going to fly in MLS, and especially
Yeah,
with the Charlotte fans already starting to call him out.
Yeah, he got called out by the coach, which is rare. Like the coach
Oh, wow.
called him out in the post-game press conference after the Atlanta loss, and it's like it was the kind of words that you don't normally hear a coach say about a player. You almost feel like he must have had this conversation in private and it didn't take, so now he's like taking the private conversation public. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. But another big favorite, if we go back to our odds sheet, another big favorite this week playing at home against the Timbers is Atlanta. There's a couple sides to this that I wanted to ask you about. And one of them, if we go to our matchup indicators page on Sorare Data, as HG likes to say, Sorare Data, you can see that midfield is a huge, great matchup for Atlanta in terms of, for what Atlanta's playing at home against the Timbers. The Timbers have not been good on goalkeepers, defenders, or forwards, but they've been leaking to mids. So not a bad situation for the boy Thiago Almada, who absolutely destroyed Charlotte. Do you think Atlanta is for real because they had to have the comeback home win against San Jose in the first week? They lost in week 2, and then I had Atlanta fans talking to me as a Charlotte fan and being like, "Oh, yeah, like you're going to kill us. Atlanta sucks. We're nowhere near as good as people think. Charlotte's going to beat them easy." And then Atlanta came in and looked like world beaters. Kind of shows just how bad Charlotte's been to start the season. But where do you fall on Atlanta? Are they for real as of now?
No, I like Atlanta. I think that they've got a team that can make a deep run, could make a run at MLS Cup. I mean, look at the pieces they've got. From top to bottom, like you've got Giacomakis, who has yet to get going yet.
Giacomakis. Remember, we got his pronouncer. Yeah, he pronounced it himself for us. We saw that someone sent us a video. Thanks to all our listeners who are watching our back. That we had one friend of the show who gave us a video of Georgios Giacomakis, actually
we've had so much trouble on
spelling his own name. Yeah,
I'm just gonna say Georgios.
Yeah, say GG. Say GG. Call him good game if you need to. But he came in. Barry actually started the last weekend, and then he was horrible. And then Giacomakis came in for like the last 30 minutes and actually looked pretty good. Helped Atlanta kind of salt it away for sure.
Yeah. Between him, Luis Araujo, who scored this past weekend, of course,
Yep.
a week after my definite decisive
Oh,
blank.
of course. That's the way it always goes.
We need to have a little asterisk. Score the next week or what? But
Like I
yeah, and then
said,
Almada, of
if the
course.
definite decisives are 100% wrong, that's just as valuable to people that want to fade our advice. So yeah, you can't
That's
be
right.
too mad.
Yeah, but no, just the pieces across the board, and then you're talking about defense. Like they've got some wingers and Brooks Lennon and Andrew Gutman who are game changers. Like Brooks Lennon,
Mhm.
kind of like a poor man's Kai Wagner almost. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good
I still
comparison.
feel like he might not be getting the love that he should on Sorare. Like I want to say he's still around like point one or something as far as his rare price
Oh
goes.
no, he's under. If you look at let me show the screen right now. He's actually 0.075. I mean, he's real
Oh
cheap.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or point.
maybe. I
Let's
mean,
call it
maybe I'm
0.08
just
now. But yeah,
okay. So yeah, he's point one a couple weeks ago.
yeah, his
But yeah,
price.
check out his SO5 scores. Like he's a good scorer, not just like his attacking stuff, but he brings in some
Right.
AAs too.
Yeah,
He's on some set pieces.
couple medium AA games last weeks, but
Yeah,
it's not. We're not too far removed from the times when he was banging in 15 plus and even had a 40 AA game at the end of last year against Phillies, which is a tough
yeah, a
matchup.
couple of
So
40s sprinkled in.
yeah, Lennon's a
So
good
yeah, I
guy
mean,
for sure. I mean,
I think Atlanta just in general, they've got the pieces. Maybe their depth might end up being an issue for them at some point, but I feel like
if
they've
they
got the
lose
pieces
Almada,
to
yeah,
make a run.
obviously, if they sell Almada, that's going to lead to some depth issues. I wanted to shout out, or at least point out, not shout out. He's not really my favorite person as a human, but Santiago Sosa is not the worst buy. He is a quality player who's probably going to start to get some more playing time for Atlanta because he subbed in this most recent game against Charlotte. But what's his name? Rosetto, I think, is going to miss some time. So in 20 minutes, he Sosa banged in 5 AA points. Just watch for him. If he gets his way into the starting line, it might be something you want to think about buying. I think for Atlanta as well. If you're building Atlanta stacks, you need a cheap filler.
Yeah.
But Almada,
Yeah, I like it.
Araujo, Lennon, that's the stack for sure. You put him with Guzan, and man, I had such a time just like yelling how much I hate Guzan at the match, but then unfortunately he held us to a clean sheet. So all my yelling went for naught there. But yeah, Atlanta's pretty good. So the other side of this that I want to talk about though is what is the deal with Evander? Because Evander right now, we talked about Van Zier and Copetti, and those guys are struggling. But I don't know if anyone is struggling on the level that Evander is so far this season. The guy that was called the potential cheat code was the heir to the throne of Carlos Gil, someone that many people thought would become like the ultimate MLS midfield card. His price is obviously reflected in terms of this guy selling close to an ETH for most of the offseason, or excuse me, for over an ETH for a lot of the offseason. And then his move to MLS kind of dropped his price for some people, but people are picking him up. You can see like he's still trading. He's finally down below 0.7 again. What's your take on Evander? He subbed in. He didn't start last match. Subbed in for injured Christian Paredes, and then was subbed out later in the match. Was that a rest thing, or was that just a poor performance thing?
I didn't see the match myself, so I'm not sure if it was injury related. Like typically that's the case. Like I think that's what we saw with Carlos Gil this last weekend. He actually came
Yep.
off the bench and then ended up subbing back out because he was hurt. And so I'm not sure if that's the case with Evander, but I
I'm
can
pretty
say
sure
that
it was poor
just
play. I'm pretty sure it was just bad play.
it's very possible. And like from what I've seen and heard, then his attitude just been piss poor. And like that's the kind of thing that coaches and MLS will
They
nip in
hate
the
it.
bud real quick and just say like,
Yeah.
hey, we're not going to do it, like because you're supposed to be the star of the show. You're not going to wreck the locker room. And
Sure.
I don't know. It's the coming off the bench was a surprise to me because I think he scored his first goal like the week before that.
He did. Yep.
He started and went 90, had a goal. I mean, yeah, they lost to LAFC, but like at home against a team that you know should think that you would get a home win against an expansion team, St. Louis City, you like benching supposedly your best player, like something's going on there. And so I want to say it might be attitude related. just pure speculation, but that's kind of my hunch.
Yep. I guess I'm just looking at Twitter real quick and see some Timbers fans tweeting like Evander had picked up a minor knock. He was feeling sore. So there could be some injury issues for sure. The also thing is Portland did just sign Frank Boley, right? They signed a new striker.
Yeah.
So that could put some more teeth into the attack and might make Evander look a little better. So it still could be a buy low opportunity at 0.7 ETH. I don't know. It's in this current rare world that we live in, where like card values are just like dropping because we're sort of waiting for the demand to catch up with the fresh supply that's been added to the market over the last few months. It's crazy to see someone still selling for this much, 0.7 and whatnot, especially when they're not even performing. But that's
yeah. I think once new cards drop, his price is going to go down pretty drastically. Like I think just the scarcity of supposedly like we compared him to like he could be posting Carlos Hill type numbers. That's just the general consensus. Like he's gotten a lot of pre-season hype, not just from us, but just like across the board. And so, yeah, you highlighted it there. He's only got 23 rare cards. And so that's obviously going to drive the price up. But yeah, once new MLS cards come out, then I think he might be hovering closer to like the 0.4 range.
Yeah, I think that's some general advice we can give to newer players who are like new to Sorare platform this season in MLS or in all leagues. Really, is just that, and the J League and MLS are usually the ones that come out first. There's some questions about whether we'll get a J League release this year, but as far as MLS, like it's just simple supply and demand, right? Like so when the new cards come out, when we're expecting them probably about a month from now, I would say maybe 3 weeks, probably a month. That's the timeline that it was last year. I remember our trip to Orlando on April 30th last year was the first weekend that I was able to play my Charlotte FC cards, who are an expansion club. I remember that pretty distinctly. So if you are considering buying MLS cards anytime in the next month, just make sure it's someone you really want who can help you directly for the next month, because there will be an overall price dip. The newer cards might be more expensive, but the dip will be on the existing stock. Like 2022 cards will have a drop in price when the 2023s are released. Just A, for supply and demand purposes, and B, for they're not new anymore and they're not the shiny new toy that everyone wants to go get new ones. So something to keep in mind.
And then on top of that, the XP drop or the percentage boost drops off 5%, right?
Sure.
Still, yeah.
Sure,
so,
but I'm a good manager and I train all my cards, Schuyler, so I'm not too worried about that.
Of course,
I'm never worried about losing the 5% because I've already gained it back through training. So
yeah. Hey, I don't doubt that, but just piling on to your point, if you're buying like a new card like now, like 5% is their boost, and it's going to drop off in a few weeks.
Correct. Very good point. Yeah. So you got to factor that into your decisions. So, let's see. Atlanta, New York City. Who else do we like that we want to talk attacking wise? Let's call up the odds sheet again. Is there anyone that you're looking at? LA Galaxy we mentioned. Anyone that you are fading? Any bad team that you want to target? Maybe they're the side going against them is not that great, but you just know like that this is a team you can score points against.
I mean, DC United's kind of the team that I'm
good call.
We've already talked about.
We already did talk about New York City, but yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. What do you think about that Seattle LAFC game? Is going to be insane, by the way. Give me your thoughts on Toronto Miami. Are there any plays in this game that look interesting to you? Insigne is hurt. Miami, for a minute they looked unstoppable. Then they lost their third game last week. Where do you fall on this one?
Yeah, and so I think Toronto just announced that Insigne picked up another knock, so he's going to be out. I think they said another 3 to 4 weeks, and so that's obviously leaving a lot of the scoring load on Bernardeschi, especially with Toronto missing. I think Canola's out. I think Diamande is out hurt, and so who was it? Was it DeAndre Kerr that scored a goal?
It was Kerr. Yeah, it was Kerr started up top. So
does he have? He's got a card, right?
It looks. Yeah, he does. Yep. Kerr's trading at about 0.06, 0.07 right now.
Okay. Which
his card is a forward. Okay, so yeah, just making sure his card's a forward, but he plays more in the midfield. I mean, they got an auction out. You can go buy a DeAndre Kerr on auction right now. Maybe get lucky. 32 hours from the time we're recording this. Looks like people are buying from Pavel. What's that?
How many minutes did he play in that game?
Last game, he played 61 minutes, and had a negative AA. So without that goal, he would have been in trouble for sure.
Yeah, just goal dependent. But hey, I mean, cheapish option that could turn up. I mean, yeah, just with Toronto's lack of attacking options, and I don't know, he comes into the conversation. But yeah, I think Bernardeschi's got to be the guy, and just kind of wait until Insigne gets back for him.
Yeah, do you think that Insigne being out hurts Bernardeschi? Because like they would be better having even if he lost a little bit of production, they would just be a better team overall. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's a lot of the case when you have two superstars like that. They just kind of thrive off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does open up maybe a few more opportunities for Bernardeschi, but it definitely helps his case when Insigne's in there. They're kind of able to work off of each other. So I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I totally agree for sure. Why don't we get into some of our defense talk here real quick? And I think you got to start with Nashville for sure. The Nashville SC, the Nashville's back, baby. After a brief run last year where sort of their reputation for defense was faltering, I think they're way back. I mean, Willis is playing out of his head. Walker Zimmerman seems to have really benefited from the World Cup experience, and Jack Mars getting in there and making things happen. We see on our Sorare data matchup chart that Nashville is the second best matchup for defenders, and they're also highly rated for goalkeepers here in the entire America division. The Nashville defense is one of the only ones in MLS I feel that can compete with the Argentinian defenders as far as SO5 scores go. And you have a couple Walker Zimmermans, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I do. I've got two Zimmerman rares. I've got some limited exposure, and I picked up a Jack Mayer before the season started. He's been doing well for me, especially in Cap 240.
Yeah, let's focus on Mayer for a second, because he was a guy that Big Ears Mayer. I really liked him last year, and he wasn't getting enough playing time, and so I didn't.
The milkman.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I won a Jack Mayer card, and I didn't hold on to it because I was like, this guy just can't get in the pitch. But maybe I should have held on to him because he still is under 23 for another season and a half. And this guy's been balling since he sort of this year got established into the starting lineup. If I check his L5, he's raking up 15 AA points. And he's getting those with clean sheets, so it's a little bit suspect. But he did have 30 against New York Red Bulls, so I do think that this is a guy who, for fairly cheap, again, a lot of the guys we're highlighting today as potential scouting buying options are right in there in that 0.06, 0.07 range seems to be. For rare, I should say, that seems to be, but a lot of them are under $10 in limited. So good option. You think?
Mayer's been good,
are you selling? Are you touting Mayer for people to go buy him? Not financial advice, but Sorare advice.
Yeah, I kind of say he's a poor man's Zimmerman. Like I said, Lennon's a poor man's Wagner. Mayer's kind of a poor man's Zimmerman because you've got a piece of the Nashville back line, which they've had 3 clean sheets in 3 games to start the season.
Yep.
And so, yeah, while Zimmerman might be a little bit more of an attacking threat, Nashville's really high on Mayer, and they want to develop him. I think his spot is safe as long as they keep churning out results. And I think he's got a bright future. They drafted him pretty high a couple years ago in the Super Draft. One of the first. I mean, I don't know if it was the first draft pick or. Somewhere in that range, but yeah, it just goes to show
he was up there for sure.
Yeah, they're investing in him, and yeah, for probably almost half the price of Zimmerman, then yeah, I think he's a good buy.
Yeah, if I look back to the odds sheet here, you can see Nashville actually plus 215 dogs here at New England Revolution. That seems like again, not financial advice, but that seems like a little bit too high. I would expect this to be a little closer to even because New England has not been good. New England has looked like crap. Carlos Heel took a little bit of a knock. He was unable to start last game because he wasn't feeling great. Then he subbed in despite having the knock. And then Bruce Arena said at the end of the game that he had maybe aggravated the knock right there at the end of the game. Gustavo Bo finally came back and the big return of Gustavo Bo. Thank God Bo is back. Let's go. Oh, Gil's out. Bo's playing as the center attacking mid. He'll probably have set pieces. This is going to be amazing. What does he do? He goes out and concedes a penalty and gets the big negative decisive. So that had to be rough for Bo owners. I do sympathize. But
you haven't seen the heel video yet, have you?
I have not seen the video, no.
I got to send it to you. Talk about
Send it to me right
attitude
now. I'll play it on the
adjustment.
show. Yeah.
I don't know if I have it right offhand, but yeah, he basically, like you said, he subbed on, took a knock, I assumed or re-aggravated whatever was hindering him, and the trainer tried to hand him a water bottle walking off, and he just swats it out of his hand like a little baby. And it's like,
He
oh
wasn't
man,
happy.
he took some shit for that, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like New England, I think Bo's going to be fine. I do think it's kind of, I don't know if it's a trap game for Nashville. Like they've got 3 clean sheets and they're or New England's without Heel, so that works to their advantage.
Yeah, I know home field advantage is everything. We harp on that for good reason, but just seems really weird to me for Nashville to be that big of plus 250 dogs going into New England, which doesn't seem to be like that tough of a place for them to play.
Yeah, hey, I mean Nashville's got the unit that could pull off a road win like that, and I don't know. It's hard to see them keeping another clean sheet, but they've kept 3 already. Like went into New York, like we said, Red Bulls haven't been great at attacking wise. New England, I think they had maybe one good game in attack against Houston, which Dynamo is nothing to really write home about.
New England looked
Great game
horrible against. New England was really bad against Charlotte and was gifted a goal right at the end. And we know how bad Charlotte is, so that doesn't speak too highly of New England either, for sure. A couple quick matchups I want to just look at here again, and then it's time to get to what everybody's waiting for, which is the definite decisives. But New York City, a team we already highlighted on the offensive side with good odds. They're looking strong defensively as well, hosting DC United. Sporting KC, more on them in a second, but they have played some really strange soccer. They've put up tons and tons of shots, but have not really had the end product. They don't really have a ton of goals. Philly Union is projecting nicely in the matchup ratings, even though despite their midweek game, they didn't really have to do much. They waxed Allianz Lima in the CONCACAF Champions League without putting up too much of a sweat. Everybody looked good there, except for my guy, Jose Martinez. But did you go get a Joe Bendick? Did you have a Bendick? What was your on the Blake Bendick saga this week with Andre Blake getting the groin injury? What do you think about Bendick?
Yeah, I was actually on the road back from Louisville when I got the news. My son, he plays MLS fantasy, and so of course he's keeping up with everything on his phone. I'm driving.
Father like son, I love it.
He said, yeah, he's like, oh, Blake's down. It looks like he's going off, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, gosh, I wish I wasn't driving right now. I'd be like, heading straight to Sorare to see what Bendick's price is, but not gonna drive in Sorare. I advise against that. So
that's probably smart.
Yeah. By the time I had a chance to look, then his price was already higher than I would pay, and even not knowing like the extent of Blake's injury, then I was like, I don't know. And now we hear that Blake's injury isn't as bad as it's as originally feared, and so I think Bendick, if you got him cheap, if you have him already, then definitely a good backup keeper to have, because he's got arguably the best defense in the league, best team in the league that he's a goalkeeper for. So,
and if Blake was to leave for international play to go play with Jamaica or anything like that, then Bendick becomes available. I had a Bendick from 2 years ago that I just got because when Matt Freese had the own goal. You remember when Blake was gone for international and Matt Freese gave up an own goal, and I was like, oh, they might bench Freese for the next game. So I bought a Joe Bendick. It didn't work out. They actually kept going with Freese back then. That was 2 years ago, if I remember right. But I finally, this week, I was like, this is my chance to sell Joe Bendick at a nice profit. I sold him for like more than 2x profit. Felt very like nice. Even though he could have helped me as a quote unquote cap 240 cheat code because his L15 is so low, I just felt like long term it was better to just get rid of him. So I sold him. But props to anyone who did buy him, unless you're the one who bought him for 0.187, which is a little unfortunate. But I was able to unload mine for 0.136 shortly after that, and now he's already back down. People are getting the news of Andre Blake not being as bad as it was, so Bendick's already trending down. He'll probably be back under 0.1 soon enough. So there you go. But yeah, just a little
example.
Well, yeah, we can look up Pablo Cisniega. Let's look at that because I have been a Pablo tout for most of this season, and everyone's like, oh, he's not delivering. It's crazy. Like if you look at his price graph, like
you own 7 cards.
I do own 7 Cisniegas. One is a common though. Don't forget one is a common. So
I thought that was unique at first when I saw that black, but yeah.
One of my oldest
That's
commons
better.
actually. Someday So Rare we'll get rid of them, I'm sure. But yeah, Cisniega trending down under point one now. No one has any faith in him. I'm telling you, this guy's going to continue to start for at least 2, if not 3 more weeks. So there's no, if you need a keeper especially talking about L10 cheat codes, L15 cheat codes for cap divisions, like you really like Cisniega. It has not been his fault. That's all I'm going to say. What has happened to him? His scores have been pretty rough, but it is not his fault. I promise. Like he's actually playing like a madman. He's balling. He's making a ton of saves that he shouldn't be forced to make, but the defensive, there's no cohesion whatsoever on the Charlotte back line. So in the end, it doesn't matter if it's his fault or if the back line sucks. Like if he's not getting good SO5 scores, then his price is going to go down one way or the other. So
he was good in St. Louis. He made some big saves.
Trust me. If you have Cisniega and you're like, oh, I got to get rid of this guy before he goes to 0, I don't think he's going to 0. I do think his price will tick just a little bit back up before Kalina would be to potentially come in and reclaim the starting job. And I also would say that I think we'll see Kalina on the bench for at least 1 game before I don't think Kalina just waltzes in and be like, I'm available, I'm starting again. I think it'll be sort of an eased back thing. So you'd have a little bit of warning in terms of, Kalina's almost back. So we'll see.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's time to get to our favorite thing to do on this show, which is the definite decisives. There's a lot of hype. We all love the definite decisives. It's been a little bit of a rough go because what can I say? We haven't hit the definite. If you look at, there's a lot of red on this sheet compared to green and yellow. The scoring system, as always, if you miss your pick, it's a red. If you hit your pick, it's a green. If you predict a guy to get an assist and he gets a goal instead, then you're going to get a yellow box for your results because he still got a decisive, just wasn't the one you picked. I had to give myself a yellow for Georgi Petrovic clean sheet call back in week 2 because even though I did hit it, he did have the clean sheet. He has no cards, so I wasn't really helping anybody that you couldn't play Georgi Petrovic in a lineup. I didn't realize that I didn't remember that until after the game week started. So kind of shows what a dork I am. So I gave myself a yellow on that one, even though he did get the clean sheet.
We'll give you 1.5 out of 3 on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the yellow is. The yellow is like 1.5. The green is like a 3, and a red is 0. Basically, I could put a little scoring key off to the right here. I probably will. We do need to start tracking it, but again, as I said, like we give these definite decisives, and if you think we're going to be wrong, then go against us. If you think we suck, then this is your perfect chance to capitalize on how much you hate us. So. Although I'd be surprised you watched this long to get this far. But we've got our decisives in here. I'm going to start. Since I'm leading, I have 4.5 to your 3. I'm going to go first. And I'm going to show my guaranteed goal first, which is, if I can get my shit together, Danny Shallowy. I got to go with Danny Shallowy for my guaranteed goal. They have a really nice matchup. You saw Sporting KC had one of the better defensive matchups on Sorare data. They don't have a great offensive matchup on Sorare data, but I think Dallas has not really shown themselves to be a locked-in defense at all, and Shallowy is just shooting and shooting and shooting. It's been amazing, like how the shot volume of pretty much everyone on Sporting KC. And Sporting KC is just a team, even though they're not doing so hot right now. If you call up the table, they are kind of mid-table, I believe. Yeah, they're toward they're 0 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. But they're just shooting. They're just getting so much shot volume. Someone has to break through, and I think Shallowy does it this week.
I like it. Yeah, SKC's been just hammering the goal, man. I mean, I can't believe that they've gone this long without scoring or scoring more than just like, I don't know. I want to say I saw where they had like 30 shots a couple of games ago against Colorado and didn't score, and then it was somewhat of the same against the Galaxy this past game. I think Jonathan Bond ended up with 100. So what do you think about Bondy?
Bond, well, let's just go ahead and do it because he's my clean sheet.
There you go. I'm trying
to really good segue, my friend.
There you go.
I changed the color on the wrong one. Bondy is my could be clean sheet as well. I think LA Galaxy, one of the strongest matchups offense and defense this game week, and I don't see they're one of the biggest favorites on the Bovada board. And Vancouver will be coming back from midweek travel down to Honduras. Everything's trending big for me for Jonathan Bond to get yet another clean sheet. I don't think he'll have 11 saves this time, but I do think he'll have the clean sheet. And since you segued so expertly to me on the LA Galaxy, I'm going to segue right back to you because I know that your guaranteed goal is a Galaxy player as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dejan Jovic.
It's time.
Zero shots
time
last
for
game.
Jovic to score. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're on the he's due train, then yeah, I think Jovic he actually he scored in their opener, so there's that. But he did not have a shot.
Yeah, he's due.
Yeah,
for
he's due
second.
again. He's missed one game. He missed one game, 0 shots at all. So yeah, I think he's going to come out hungry. Vancouver could be a little vulnerable with as heavy as their schedule's been over the past couple of weeks with Champions League, MLS, tough game against Dallas. And so, yeah, I think Galaxy are going to be hungry to get a result here. And Chicharito's out. Douglas Costa's still out. Like, they're going to be looking to him for goals. And so, yeah, I'm going to roll with him on the guaranteed goal here.
Yeah, I think it could be the start of a nice little run for Jovic, to be honest. I know Chicharito is due back at some point, but if the Galaxy are going to go where they want to go this year and where some have predicted them, including me, they're going to need goals. And Jovic is a guy who has thrived as a super sub behind Chicharito. So maybe he's still kind of adjusting to that starting role, but I think he's going to thrive in it. How about your do you want to do your assist or your clean sheet next?
Yeah, let's jump into the you've got it already pulled up in the block there, so let's not make you do too much work. We'll go with the automatic assist.
Your boy,
Edward
exactly.
Lowen. Yeah,
Dog Food
seeing
FC
him in person.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Dog Food FC, baby. But hey, he's a player, man. He definitely caught my eye watching him in person. Takes majority, if not all of their set pieces, took a penalty kick.
Penalties, yeah.
I want to say, yeah, he's had a goal or an assist in all 3 of their games so far. And so, yeah, I think
indeed
he keeps it going.
We call up. Yeah, he went assist versus Austin, goal versus Charlotte. There's a PK and assist versus Portland Timbers. 4
in a row if you're going back to his time over in Germany, right?
Sure. Yep. His AA points have dropped every week. I don't know what any worries there. He must have got a bad optic correction because at one point he was closer to like 20. I thought in all around against Portland at some point. Maybe he lost.
I'm not worried about it, man.
Yeah.
This isn't absolute all around. This is a definite decisive. So
I love it. Thank you.
We're gonna stick with him.
Keeping the alliterative theme going. I appreciate that.
But hey, if we blank again, then this might have to be the definitely not decisive.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I keep saying, man. That's what I keep saying for sure. Well, let me get my assist real quick and then we'll have you cap it off with your clean sheet. But I'm going to go with my guy. This is a guy that I own and I need some production from. Mauricio Pereira. This is me trying to get karma maybe back on my side, picking against my own team. Charlotte FC is going down to Orlando to play against a team. The Lions have a midweek match as well. They're playing CONCACAF Champions League at home against Tigres tomorrow, or actually tonight, later tonight. I forget which day we're recording this, but Orlando in theory was going to have tired legs and whatnot. But I've said this on a couple other shows. Like I think Oscar Pereira, not my favorite manager in the league, but he's doing a really good job of like rotating his side with all these extra fixtures. He's managing the minutes very well. I have to give him some props for that. So I think Pereira is going to be good to go. Charlotte has just been leaky, and Pereira's getting a few set pieces. If Torres and Ojeda and Pereira are all in together, I doubt Mauricio gets any set pieces, but I still think he's contributing. So I'm going to take a flyer. And if I miss this, if Pereira doesn't get an assist and Orlando is clean sheeted and blanked, then I'm going to be happy anyway, because then that means Charlotte finally got a clean sheet. So that's my pick.
Picking on your boys, but yeah, I like the kind of cup glass half full, half empty. If one hits and one doesn't, then you'll be good either way.
Right, exactly.
I'm kind of the same.
The only way I can lose is if Torres and Ojeda go nuts, and Mauricio is just completely shut out and gets no points. That would suck. But
it's true. That is true. But yeah, I'm in somewhat of the same boat. I've got for my could be clean sheet, Luis Barraza, NYCFC. Mentioned just DC's not look good as much as I want him to. because I do have a lot of Benteke and Pedro Santos exposure. I just feel like Bras at home, New York City's actually looked decent. I mean, they haven't looked great, but they've looked like they have enough pieces to compete week in and week out. And so when you're playing for them, when they're playing at home against DC United, they're going to be looking at that as a win. But hey, like I said, if he happens to let one by from Benteke's head off of a Pedro Santos cross into the box, I'm not going to be too mad about it.
Right, exactly. You win either way. It's nice to get both sides of any betting proposition that you can. Call it a hedge, right? I think they call it a hedge in the game. So thank you, everyone. Those are our definite decisives. We'll post them on the at Major League Sorare Twitter account, right? You're on that, Schuyler?
Yes, I need to do a little better job of keeping up the content there, but we'll see if we can crank them out.
I'll send you the screenshot. And that's it. We really appreciate y'all who stuck with us for this hour. Every time we try to say, oh, we're going to try to go short and wrap it up here, but we love talking about this league and this game so much that we just ramble. But so fun. Thank you. If you think we need to be going shorter, leave us a comment and say, hey guys, can you shut up a little earlier so I can get on with my day, please?
Yeah, no, and real quick before we go, just say thanks again to everybody just for all the love, all the comments. I think we even got a shout on Twitter yesterday from our guy Mitch Bedzik, who I know from the MLS fantasy community. I want to say he won the grand prize a couple years ago, but he's always been super competitive. Just started playing Sorare, I think he said last season, and he sends us out a tweet saying, "Hey, at MLS, at Apple TV, we need to get these guys DraftKicks, TrippinB, and at Sorare USA on your MLS season pass package." Thank you for the love there. That might be a little stretch. If that happens, we might have to spruce up the studio a little bit here. But just love seeing all the feedback, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So thanks, guys, and best of luck this game week.
Here's that tweet
that
you mentioned. Yeah, exactly. Slowly but surely, I've figured out how to call this stuff up. But yeah, thank you, Mitch, for that shout out. MLS, Apple, if you're listening, Schuyler and I, we will bring in Fripp, and we will do this show as a three-man weave. You can call us the Three Stooges of MLS fantasy at that point for sure. I think Shep would have to be Curly because he's bald. I'd have to be Larry because I'm crazy, and you would be Mo because you're the damn leader. So what can I say? But thank you everyone for listening, and vamos MLS.